Hi, I'm Cash, and welcome back to Cash Talks Football, where I break down all the goals scored in the Premier League. Using my over 20 plus years coaching experience and doing vast amounts of other things in the old football-y world, I'm here to help you become a better player or a better coach. Genuinely, you can become a better player if you actually do some key little things different in your game. If you ever want me to do a player analysis of you, let me know, because I'm all about helping people. Right now, though, we're going to cover Wolves against the old Arsenal right here. And I'm going to show this little clip here because I was talking about the Arsenal left-back the other day and saying about how weak and how sort of out of position he is. And I don't know if this is the same guy playing. I really should pay more attention, but sometimes it doesn't really matter. So right now, this ball here, you can see he's clearly in possession of the ball because he is in between the ball and the player trying to win it. And he lets it go so easily, this Arsenal player. And this is a problem area for him. If people are sort of really put pressure on the left back playing against Arsenal, I think they can make their team collapse because it just seems to be out of position or not strong enough all of the time. So right now, the Wolves player here, as you can see, just pushes him ever so slightly, and wins the ball. That is way too easy at this level. It's just not good enough overall. They end up going down and trying to get a shot. The keeper does make a save, but it comes from a simple bouncing ball that the left back doesn't deal with in the appropriate time and appropriate manner. One of the first things people teach you is about speed of play. A lot of people don't, they hear it, they go, oh, speed of play, but they don't actually know what speed of play is. Speed of play is how quick can you get the ball down and you play it. His speed of play is atrocious there. How quick can he get the ball down and play it? Well, he didn't even get the ball down. He let it bounce twice, and it's terrible. And all of a sudden, the Wolves players closed him down, nicked the ball, and he's in for a shot on goal. Not good enough. You always have to deal with things as quickly as you possibly can in football because you don't know what's coming or what's going to happen next. The quicker that your ball's under control, then you can assess and deal with the situations. He has not done so. But let's just jump onto the Arsenal goals. Okay, so there's a couple of things we're seeing here. Right, first off, we see this nice little matchup 1v1 here. Clearly the Wolves player is in perfect positioning to actually try to win the header, try to get the ball away and do the right thing. Now, the other thing, this is the weird thing that happens in football. You'll see it all the time if you're a player. When a ball is lumped up into the air, everybody stops running and everyone's really watching the ball. No one is quick enough to sort of assess the situation and realise there's a pocket of space one of these two players could come in and fill. They're watching what's happening. They're watching what actually breaks here. You see it all the time in football. People stand and watch instead of actually doing something different, right? And it all comes down to the pace of the ball. If the pace of the ball's whipped in really fast, no one stood around watching and waiting to see what happens next. This is a classic example of seeing what happens next. Everyone's waiting to watch, right? And it sounds silly. They're waiting to watch. Yes, that's what they're doing. But the Wolves player here, he completely and utterly misjudges this, right? As we move this forward, you see how he tries to get tight and tries to body the player. That step forward is too early. He's actually gone a little bit too early because the ball is still dropping down. And what he ends up finding is gets caught under the ball because he changes his position just a little bit. He's gone just a little bit too early here. And that enables the Arsenal player just to put a little nick on him, push him away from underneath the ball so he can now get control. But you notice these guys still haven't even... Now this goes on to another problem as well, because if he does win it, right? Say if that guy does win the header, Dosh, and he knocks it forward and that player's come in to cover him and he's moved, well, he's not going to be there to win the second ball. So there's a lot of those little idiosyncrasies that you find out, well, if he does go and try to help his teammate or he does try to move it and take care of that space and that player, his own player does win the ball, he's not in a good position to receive it if he does win it. He is in a good position to receive it and he's trusting his teammate to win the ball, but he's just been done there. He's just been shoved out of the way ever so slightly. And now it's City who reacts the quickest. We've got a wee man here, completely unmarked, slowly finding the space, and this guy's just managed to beat his defender here. Defender doesn't get the right side of him, can't really win the ball, but he does get back goal side, look, tries to stop him from taking a shot and ends up sort of pushing him over-ish and he ends up on the floor. But again, those two players that I highlighted, one, he was here. Two, he's now here. He's coming in, but he's not quite fast enough. The ball's going to end up dropping to this guy's feet here, and he's going to smash it into the net box. But you can clearly see a player ends up being unmarked from here to here in the 18-yard box. And what do we mean unmarked? We don't necessarily mean that you're absolutely stood with him marking the whole time, but you are close enough to put in a challenge so he doesn't get a free shot on goal. And no one is close enough to him to put in a challenge so we can stop him getting a free shot on goal. And that's what happened. That's what you really want to do in the box. When you say marking, it's really close enough to, if the ball isn't there, can you make a challenge within one step? Can you get there and put pressure on? And if that one step means the player's got to beat you, that's perfect, because if he beats you inside the box, that gives time for somebody else to get there to try to block the shot or do something different. No one's close enough to this guy here at all. Now, it's set up perfectly for him. It's actually not a clean strike. It's not a great strike, but it goes straight into the net box, and it's 1-0 to the Arsenal. The reason it's not a clean strike is you can see the spin on the ball. Watch the way the ball travels. This is very important when you're looking to see how shots... do you see that type of spin on the ball there? That is not a clean strike. It's a kind of scuffed strike. It's come off half on the outside of his foot, but it's got straight enough that it's going into the top corner. You can always tell whether or not a shot has been hit cleanly or not just by the spin of the ball. 9 times out of 10, that's always the identifying mark. Is what does the ball look like when it's travelling? Spinning like that, not a clean strike. This goal's not really a good goal, but I wanted to show you this little shape here. As you can see, two Arsenal players, one in the middle carrying the ball. He can go either way, and these guys are ready to do an overload on any one of these players here, which is absolutely brilliant. It's really well done that they're both staying out wide. They're really both disciplined on both sides. Brilliant. You can see that. They can just beat them at will here. It doesn't matter. Well, this guy's got loads of options with the ball. He can put it behind. You can see this defender's already anticipated that he's going to put the ball in behind that way. So you see his body shape. So he hasn't chose to do that. And here's the interesting thing. You see that defender where he just was? And he's now run to there. He actually opens up the space over here because he closes the space in the middle, which is fine. I mean, okay, you want to close the space in the middle because that's the dangerous area. He does the right thing, but he ultimately ends up getting punished for it. And he needs extra help. You can see right now he's got two players here, and he has to have help to come and stop these two. It needs to be a centre midfielder. It would normally be if you're playing a 4-4-2, it's either midfielder, but in the modern way they play, it has to be your defensive midfielder coming over and helping. You can't be asking your left forward to be coming back in here, or your left winger, depending on how the system's set up, to come in and help. It has to be this defender has to come in here, or if it was on this side, he would have to come in over here and cover. Hasn't done that, isn't doing that, and they're put in a complete and utter 2v1 situation where you're 9 times out of 10 you're going to lose. Now, overlapping here is absolutely brilliant. Generally, overlapping is stupid. People think, oh, I've heard the word overlap. No, yeah. It's generally stupid. It used to work years ago, but not anymore because it's too much running to do not a little. You're not really opening up the space. But when you're inside the 18-yard box and you're inside this little tiny part here, I wouldn't say the final third, by the way. People would say the final third. I wouldn't. I'd say about that area there. The overlaps are decent because if you get the ball right, they're not offside, and it does create the space because normally when you've created that overlap, you can play it back to the guy and he can get the finish off because you've created this space with the overlap for the guy that's giving you the ball in the first place. That's not what really happened. However, he does try to put the ball across the across the 6-yard box for a tap-in. I think he's seeing the guy on the back post here, and he doesn't have the ability just to be able to dink it over to the top because it's also going to be a slow ball. So he just tries to hit it across and he gets a rebound. But then this is unacceptable. The keeper's come out a little bit too far. He's gone way past his front post to shut this down, and he gets beaten on his near post here with this shot, which is unacceptable for a goalkeeper at this standard to be beaten so close on that near post. And then you can see the keeper, because he's come out so far, now he's sort of caught in no man's land. He's like, well, I've got to go now. And he does. Because he's pressured and he's come out, he has to end up standing there and trying to deal with the shot or trying to, put pressure on the ball, and he just gets beaten. Dosh, right in the inside there, and they get their second goal. On they march forward. Are they going to win the league? Probably not. It's going to be Man City, but at least Arsenal are going to push them to the wire. I'll see you next time on Cash Talks Football.